Well, hello once again. We are starting this one out as promised with our TSU, our Tormat Selector unit, or selectric. Let me see, what does that say actually? It says Tormat Electrical Selector. That's what it is, the Tormat Electrical Selector. That's whatever. Push button assembly, buddy. That's what it is, okay? Anyway, we've got all this back together finally, and you'll see the switch works good. The switch works good. What this is for, this thing sits horizontal like this over in the left hand. As you stand in front of the jukebox, this thing sits over in the left hand corner, kind of hidden down under a little bit. And you can use this to move the selectomatic mechanism back and forth the track so it gets it out of the way so you can change records. You know, if it's blocking a bunch of those slots that have the records in and you can't move it, well, that kind of sucks. You know, if you're a repairman or a guy that wants to change, you show up once a week to change the records or every 10 days or whatever, you got to get that thing out of the way to move out, you know, just pull out the ones you don't want there anymore and add the new ones. So this button enables you to do that. I imagine if we had a jammed up record, it would also get the mechanism out of the way also in order to fix that little problem. So that's what that's for, manually with a switch moving the mechanism back and forth. All right, we're back to this. Well, the tally is in, guys. The tally is in, the vote tally is in, and guess what? I'm not even going to count up how many yays and how many nays. The yays have it, which includes my mentor, Brendan. And oh, he was ecstatic to hear about that. When he heard me say that we were going to tear this apart, I was thinking about tearing this apart. He got really excited. He really did. As a matter of fact, he said he almost soiled his pants. Yes, I'll tell you what his exact words were. He said, "Nothing, certainly no mere machine, can intimidate or defeat us." Now, that's exactly what he wrote in the email. So we're going to get going on this thing. Let me get myself situated here and get a couple of wires out of the way so we can re-examine what we have to do and get started. Let's take a closer new look at our Tormat electrical selector and find out exactly what it's going to take to just gut this thing down to the frame, which is what I'm after. There is a ton of rust in that thing. I don't like this. You know, if you're going to do a restoration, let's just get as much of the rust out of there as possible, especially down there. Look at that. That's horrible. All right, here's a counter, and it comes out with a couple of bolts on the top, a couple on the bottom. This thing right here is riveted in. Let me double check. Yes. This little terminal board is riveted in that we'd have to drill out. This thing right here comes off with a couple of screws. This is our can't remember what that relay is called off the top of my head. I try not to remember all the stupid little names. Anyway, this thing here we can leave on. It's not attached to anything. I don't even know why it's there. What's that? Oh, I know what it is. It's a stop. It's a stop for the relay when this thing comes back. This thing has to come back like so, okay? This thing was a little stiff. I got it working a little bit. I need to spray it a little bit more. This will have to be drilled out because I'm just not going to unsolder all these wires and then resolder them back up. That's stupid. I'll just drill out. I can drill out these rivets from the other side, which makes it a whole lot easier. And then we'll put nuts and bolts through them when we're done. This one is the only one of the bunch that has to be drilled out from inside out. All the rest can be drilled from outside in, which, you know, right down through the center of a little setup like this. Makes it a whole lot easier. And then we have the last terminal board right here, terminal strip. Same thing, drill out from there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 terminal strips that need to be drilled out. Everything else comes out with nuts and screws and bolts, little bolts, and little clips like this that hold these and they need to be derusted also. They hold these cable bundles on. I'll take those all loose. This here, I don't have to take any of that loose. A couple of bolts removes this bracket completely. A couple of screws takes that out right there. Another bracket that holds the cable assembly. You know, there's just going to be nothing to it. Probably, and even this right here, we do not even have to take, I don't think, Let me double check now. I don't think so, but I think all we have to do here is take off this clip and this clip here, and that whole assembly comes right up. That's it. It's all out, except for now these switches I showed you before in the last video comes out with those screws right there. There's 1 and 2 and another one in the end and one there. Nothing to it. Let's start by taking off the old counter, and I'll tell you why we're going to start with the counter. The counter, let me get this straight over here, the counter has been cut out of this thing a long time ago. Look at those wires. There's just a couple of wire stubs there. It doesn't even work anymore. I don't know, probably quit and they decided not to mess with it. Let's see how many played. Now what this counter did is it told how many songs this thing had played, how many times it had been played. And this thing had been played when they shut it down. Oh my goodness, look at that number, huh? Let me get a little more of a focus here. There we go. That was the number of plays when they shut this thing down. So you know this thing has been played a few times. And there's no telling how many times it had been played after that. So let me go ahead and take these screws out. I'll let you see me take the first one. Okay, we're going to loosen up the... Now when you take these things out for you newbie types, anytime you have something like this, don't just start taking them out and all that jazz, you know. No. Take them out. Always leave the top, one of the top ones in, but a little loose, okay? Now you go to the bottom, and, oh my goodness, it turns out there's only one down there. They had taken the other one out, so I'll go ahead and remove that bottom one. I'll get back with you in a second. Alright, that's out. Let's go ahead and get the top one out, the last top one. The reason you leave the top one in loose, it doesn't matter what you're working on. Part to a car, anything heavy that might fall, leave the top one in until you get all the rest of them out, and then check it to see how far it'll fall. You don't want it falling on you. Well, that's what she looks like. I have to take that apart and see what that looks like inside there. I don't think I'm going to put that back in. It's not needed. It's not even, I don't know. It looks burnt to me. I don't know, or something. I don't know. We'll check it out. I don't know what I'd do with it, even if I put it back in and got it operational. Now you can see how much rust we got down in here and why I've elected to do this. I don't particularly like that. Over here we have another wire that's been come off. What they've done is they put a capacitor in there. I left the stubs of the old capacitor there. Well, we have a lot of inspecting to do. Alright, what's next? Let's take out this relay. Same situation, only the bolts come from the outside, from the back, this way. By the way, before we start removing this relay, this stub right here and this stub right here were the stubs for the old capacitor that this one took place of. I'll probably nip those out of there, get rid of them. And the only thing I have to do to get this out is disconnect 4 wires. Now these two here have been spliced. And remember early on in the restoration I showed you, let me zoom in here, that there was no insulation. They soldered these together and put no insulation on either one of them. These two and these two. Now there's plenty of slack in these 2 wires right here and these 2 wires right here. So I'm just going to nip them both right across here. And I'll still have plenty of wire left in order to, you know, strip them and resolder them once I put it back. Got to find out what's underneath this tape. We'll open that up. One's black, one's red. It goes to a red wire and a black wire and a red wire. Piece of cake, nothing to it. We'll go ahead and take that tape off and cut those wires and get that baby out of there. Nothing to it, I tell you. We'll just go ahead and leave those wires right on that terminal strip. Hook them up later. Again, we have plenty of slack in the wires to do that. I don't really want to do any soldering and desoldering on this relay. Stay away from it if possible. Here's another reason I'm kind of glad I'm doing this. As soon as I untape the black tape from these 2 red wires, this wire just came right apart. It was being held together with the tape. Right here is where it was connected, and there's only like 1 or 2 strands of wire that had been soldered into that right there. Whoever did that did a really bad job. So it's time for a little chop, people. You know I like chopping. Alright, let's get the rest cut and get this relay out of here. And like I said, the screws will come out from the other side. From the back, you can see there's only 3 screws, hex screws holding this relay in. These stay with the relay. They'll just come out with the relay. And underneath the flat washer of each one is a rubber insulator, and they look to be in pretty good shape. Let's go ahead and get the bottom one off. Remember, put your screws back in your holes when you're done. I've done that already with that counter. They're right there. I put them back in where they go. Don't get undisciplined. You know, a long time ago, I think I told you guys that the closer you get to finishing a project, the more you slow down. You know, don't speed up when you're getting toward the end of the project, because that's when you I'm almost there, I gotta get it done, No, you will make mistakes. Slow down. If you don't have time to do the project, you should have never started to begin with. Simple as that, you know. If you're in a hurry to do any of these projects, radios, turntables, stereo systems, whatever, if you're in that much of a hurry, that means you don't have the time, you shouldn't have done it to begin with. Now these are the kinds of, I can get these kinds of rubber insulators at Lowe's over in their little parts cabinets. Matter of fact, I might have some already, I don't know. Those are easy to come by. There's also a hardware store I know of that has them. Let me go ahead and remove the last screw and then lift the relay out. Now this is the position that this relay fits in here once it's installed. You have your actual coil on the right and your plunger on the left. You'll notice that the 4 wires I cut loose, I put them in the direction they're supposed to go once the relay is put in. These 2 will go to the left, these 2 will go to the right. Little thing that, you know, if you get them bent the wrong way, you might hook them up the wrong way. I don't want that to happen. Now this plunger plunges really easy. And I don't know, you know, I've never had to deal with something like this except a solenoid in a car. But I don't know, am I supposed to put a little lubricant there? I don't know. Somebody tell me. That's one for you all to figure out. There seems to be, well, let me see. I don't see any lubricant at all on it, so I don't know. Let's keep moving. I just removed that little U bracket that holds that large cable bundle on, then I went ahead and stuck the bracket back in. Now we'll go ahead and take the 2 screws out that holds this bracket in. And we'll have a little more wiggle room here on this wire. Then I might go ahead and take off these clips. You know, we're just about, believe it or not, at the end. All we have to do is drill out a few rivets, and this thing is just about ready to come off. Now I do want to remove these that hold those contact switches very carefully, but I don't even think I have to disconnect the wires for it, because once I drill out the back of the rivet on this terminal board, the whole mess will just kind of lift out as one piece, wires and all, where they're attached. Alright, all you fellers who wanted me to go ahead and tear this thing apart, well, along the way you're going to have to learn something as we go. And let me show you how this Tormat electrical selector works. This bar right here, you have a bar here behind the switch mechanism, and we have a bar over here behind the switch mechanism. Now that bar goes back and forth. Let me show you here. That bar swivels back and forth like so. Hear that clicking? That's these contacts right here clicking. So when we push one of the front panel buttons, that bar swings back and energizes that button. Okay? And it holds it in place. Now that energizes the relay, the contacts, and these wires here on this particular button is energized. I guess it's grounded or something. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't looked at the schematic on that, but it's grounded. So the first thing you do is you come over here and it says select your letter and then your number. So we'll go ahead and push this in a little bit and release that. Same thing over here. let's say we want to just push in to see, this would be A, B, C. Let me get my screwdriver here I dropped. So this would be A, B, C. So we'll just say we want to pick like, how about B17? How about that? Yeah, we'll just, of course we don't have a B17, but we'll go ahead and pick C. That locked that in. We'll just make it C, 1, 2, 3, C3. Okay, that's what happens. And then I guess a couple of electrical things happen, and it causes the buttons to fly back out once the selection is recorded. Now, by pushing these buttons, you're sending that signal down to the tormat. This is the tormat electrical selector. By pushing these buttons and energizing whichever one, whatever set of wires you selected on both of these setups, down to the tormat. So, you know, it's interesting that this tormat electrical selector set of contacts here, these screws are not adjustable. They just go straight in. So that means I can just go ahead and leave everything intact on this right here. And when it comes time to put it back in, you just put it back in. You don't have to worry about adjusting it this way or that way. Same with over here. So that's how she works, gents and ladies. We're at the point where I'm going to go ahead and drill out all the rivets on these terminal boards. Then we'll go ahead and release these clips. After that's all done, we'll release the clips, which will release all the wiring. Then we can start moving stuff without having to worry about it, you know, being pulled on the terminal, on each of the terminal on the strips. So let's get everything loose so when we do move the wire bundles, the strips will move with it and there won't be any strain. Another way I like to do things is a little bit different from most folks. Someone else's do, right? I like to grind away the rivet, the back side of the rivet head. Now the rivet head will be smooth on the other side, but this is the rollover side. I like to take my, you know, one of these little wheels that I have on my moto tool, and I like to grind it down very gently, very carefully, taking my time until I get down to surface of the metal, just like you see right there and right there. And you will scuff up the metal a little bit, but don't worry about it as long as you don't gouge it real deep. I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. If I can hold the camera and do this all at the same time. Just kind of go back and forth. Until I get down to the metal. I don't have to drill so much when I do this. Doing it one hand, not so easy as doing it two. Anyway, you get on down there to the metal, and the ring of the rivet normally comes loose and goes off to the side. There you go, starting to go already, see it? Well, there's to it now. All I have to do is just drill out the center there. I'll be putting screws, nuts, and lock washers in there when we're done. Now you can do the same thing with the rivet head, okay? It just takes a little bit longer. Just make sure you don't grind real deep into the metal. You can see this one here is just about ready to come out anyway. Just a quick touch with the electric drill and that'll break that loose and drive it right on through. Not very deep on the metal itself. Just be careful, you know, back and forth. And do wear safety glasses, please. Well, that's it, folks. All the terminal boards are loose. The rivets are out. This one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Nothing to it. Easier than I thought. Now look, when it comes to drilling out rivets, I showed you how to knock the backs off with that cutting wheel. Gently does it. And then you start drilling with what's left. You drill, drill, drill. Now, you must, first of all, you have a sharp drill bit, okay? If you're using drill bits from, you know, the year 1963, it's time for them to go down and get yourself a set of good metal drill bits. Christmas coming up. Ask Mama. Anyway, you drill down just partially through. You don't drill down until the drill goes all the way through the metal and then comes flying out the other side. Don't do that. Just drill it down till it's about flush, maybe halfway through the metal. Then take you a little punch. Just a little set punch like this, or something that you might nail, whatever, a good sized nail. Put it in the center like that. Just tap it and it goes right on through. Knocks the head of the rivet right out of the hole. Nothing to it. Piece of cake. Alright, now we're going to unloosen all the cable bundles. We're going to take off all these clips. I took off a couple of clips that were holding these terminal boards in, but we're going to get the wire bundle clips loose now. Now these types of clips, especially on old gear like this, are usually rusted in place. So the best way to wiggle them around with grab a pair of pliers, you know, at this point right here, not this wing thing, right here. Just kind of grab them with a pair of pliers, like so. Just kind of wiggle them loose a little bit, okay? Once you get them loose to where you can fit a jeweler's screwdriver underneath, do it like that, then just lift them right up, okay? That's all there is to it. All right, all the clips are loose, the cable bundle's loose. What now? We're almost done, guys. All we have to do is take out that Phillips screw down there, and that Phillips screw over there, and the same thing with the two on this side over here. One right there. Where am I at? Okay, one right there, and one right there. These are the screws that hold it to the frame. They're Phillips screws. Let's get them loose, and this entire mechanism, everything should fold up here like this, except for the switches and this little bar right here that we have to contend with that's behind there. We'll do that next. Let's get these things out and get everything flipped up. Well, she's looking nice and empty down there, isn't she? Yep, sure is. Well, it turns out this is kind of an interesting arrangement here. This plate right here on both sides is permanently affixed to the frame, the switch frame. So all I have to do is line the holes back up when it comes time to put the mechanism together, because these are adjustable slots on the base of the switch things. Let me show you here so you know. They're elongated, so they are adjustable. Well, where they had them was, once this is in, this plate is back in, that hole was dead in the center of that elongated slot. See where the slot was? Dead in the center on both spots. Piece of cake to figure that one out. Alright, same thing with the other side. Dead in the center. So what we're going to do now is take out the front bolts on the switch mechanism. There's 3 of them. Let me see. Come on, baby. Where are you? Guys, I run out of stuff after a while. There's 1 through 3 over here, and 1 through 3 over there. Let me back up. I think I'm a little too close. Yeah. Okay, there's 3 over here, and 3 over here to be removed. And then, I think we're just about at the end of the road. Old Seeburg decided to get a little bit tricky on us from taking these front bolts out of these switch mechanisms. There's 4 bolts, and the 2 in the center are shorter. Okay? Because they actually go into the switch mechanism. The 2 outside ones, which are thicker and heavier, they go into this bracket to hold it to here. So remember, the 2 in the center are smaller and shorter than the 2 on the outside. Same thing over here, okay? Alright, what next? Let me see, we've got all that loose. We've got all of this loose. What next? I think that if I take these clips off right here, these 2, I think it'll all roll out the back and we'll be done. Let's find out. Well, the clips are off, but this baby here, she does not want to cooperate. It is really rusted tight. So what I'm going to have to do is take it off individually. I'll go ahead and take these 2 clips off and then remove these things individually. I'm going to have to get this bar out of here. I was kind of hoping to take the entire thing out at once in one piece. But the old rust is fighting us all the way. I don't want to break anything. Alright, for all of you folks who gave me the yay and said, yeah, go for it, let's go ahead and empty this thing. Whether you were, hoping to see it done right and cleaned up and all that, or watching me crash and burn, as someone said, I think what I shall do is let you be here for the grand finale. Here we go. This is for all of the yay guys. There's one side empty. Let's see what the other side has to say. One-handed as a bear. Ta-da! Alright, time to get this set of videos in on the computer, edit it, and get it up right away. I want everybody who said go for it to be delighted sometime tonight, or maybe even late in the night if you don't go to bed too early. And then tomorrow we'll come back out and fiddle fart around with the rest of this stuff, okay? Until next time, this is John.